Good afternoon. It's 67 degrees in Richland Center at 12:07. For WRCO News, I'm Joanne Krulotz. Motorists in the Reedstown area should note that U.S. Highway 61 is closed just south of U.S. Highway 14 in Reedstown due to a crash. Traffic is being diverted onto local roads. 24 people in Wisconsin have landed in the hospital after eating eggs that are now being recalled. The eggs came from a farm in Bonduelle and have made 42 people in Wisconsin sick and another 23 across the country. The eggs were sold under the brand names of Milo's Poultry Farms, M&E Family Farms, and Tony's Fresh Market. Duck eggs from Happy Quacker's farm are also part of the recall. A Sun Prairie couple is charged with starving their infant to death. 26-year-old Devarius Keys and 21-year-old Terrence Strait faced child neglect charges in the February death of their 23-day-old son. Prosecutors say the pair were mostly feeding the boy almond milk against doctor's orders and also failing to feed him every 2 hours. The Dane County DA's office tells the State Journal it took this long to file charges because it didn't get the case until August and an autopsy report wasn't available till the end of September. Strait is being held on a $5,000 bond. A warrant is out for Key's arrest. Walworth County officials have identified 2 people who died in a weekend house fire in Spring Prairie. The medical examiner's office says the 2 were 58-year-old Bradley Chapman and 85-year-old Sylvia Chapman. The 2 were discovered on the second floor of the home by fire crews and were unable to be revived. The fire is under investigation by the Sheriff's Department, and the cause of death for the victims has not been released. A man whose body was pulled from Lake Monona last month was from New York City. The Dane County Medical Examiner's Office identified the man as 20-year-old Roan Vaughn of Brooklyn. His body was recovered from Monona Bay September 25th, and an autopsy was performed the next day. Madison police are trying to determine his cause of death and how he ended up in the lake. Hurricane Milton has become the 5th strongest storm to ever form in the Atlantic Basin. Civic Media's Brittany Merlo reports.
Its pressure dropped down to 897 last night as a Cat 5 with winds at 155 miles per hour. This morning, it has weakened slightly to a Cat 4 with wind speeds around 145. But no matter the wind strength, the surge in this one is the real danger and headed towards Tampa Bay. It's expected to make landfall tomorrow.
Thank you, Brittany. Kind-hearted individuals are asked to be aware of storm-related scam attempts by fraudsters taking advantage of Hurricane Helene and other natural disasters. The U.S. Attorney's Office from the Eastern District of Wisconsin issued a public safety alert Monday. To prevent yourself from being a victim of a scam, do not be pressured into making contributions. Carefully evaluate any phone calls, texts, social media posts, or other contacts asking you to donate. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources will restart the process to change PFAS regulations for drinking water. In September, the Natural Resources Board approved a request for public hearings. The DNR wants to set regulations to meet federal guidelines, but the change must go through a full round of hearings and meetings. Legislative Republicans prevented a previous alteration of the standards after the agency used emergency rulings to push for remediation in several parts of the state. A decade after the Flint, Michigan water crisis raised alarms about the dangers of lead in tap water, President Joe Biden is setting a 10-year deadline for U.S. cities to replace lead pipes and make drinking water safe for all Americans. Biden is expected to announce a final Environmental Protection Agency rule today in the swing state of Wisconsin during the final month of a tight presidential campaign. The announcement by the Democratic president highlights an issue, safe drinking water, that Kamala Harris has prioritized as vice president and in her presidential campaign. The rule supplants a looser standard set forth by former President Donald Trump's administration that didn't include a universal requirement to replace lead pipes. President Joe Biden is making a rare jump into the 2024 battleground political fray since ending his re-election bid. He'll campaign today in Pennsylvania for a close ally and visit Wisconsin to spotlight a signature legislative achievement. But as Biden makes a quick swing through the key states, two Democratic senators locked in competitive re-election battles are taking markedly different approaches to the outgoing president. Biden will be fully embraced by Senator Bob Casey when he participates in an evening campaign fundraiser in Philadelphia with Pennsylvania's senior senator. But in Milwaukee, where Biden is spotlighting his administration's efforts to replace the nation's toxic lead pipes, incumbent Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin will be absent. Battleground Wisconsin has seen a lot of campaign stops this year, but the nation's agriculture secretary says winning rural Wisconsin will take more effort than that.
It isn't enough for you to stop by in those rural areas. You got to have an office. You got to have volunteers. You got to have people talking about the campaign on a constant basis.
Tom Vilsack joined Civic Media's Todd Albaugh show this week. Senator Tammy Baldwin made a campaign stop in Superior Monday to kick off her Business Leaders for Baldwin coalition. Senator Baldwin was joined by Mayor Jim Payne and a number of business leaders focused on supporting small businesses across the state. Senator Baldwin is facing a challenge for her third term from Republican banker Eric Hovde. Wisconsin's Senate race is one of the most consequential in the country, potentially shifting which party controls the Senate if Baldwin is not reelected for her third term. Wisconsin voters can expect to hear more about the future of the U.S. Supreme Court as a presidential campaign issue. 4 of the 9 justices will soon turn 70. Joe Hines is with the progressive group Stand Up America.
We are trying to make it clear to voters that when you're voting this year, you're not just voting for a president, you're not just voting for Congress, you're also voting for generations of decisions that will impact you, your family, your children, your grandchildren's fundamental rights.
Some Democrats want to expand the U.S. Supreme Court from 9 justices to 15. Republicans call that overreach. Progressive advocates say there's a concerning conflict of interest with the court as it is.
We hear a lot of cases around voting rights, including probably cases around this very election, cases around the president's power. So they'll be hearing a lot of cases that concern the people that are appointing them.
Early detection of diseases can be life-saving, preventing serious illnesses before they develop. Civic Media's Melissa Kay reports.
Having an annual exam with your primary care provider can keep you up to date on important health screenings. These screenings happen at certain ages, but some individuals are at an increased risk based on several factors.
Other things that can be important is their family history. So if your parents, your brother, your sister, aunts, uncles, or grandparents have certain medical conditions, that can put you at increased risk of disease as well.
That's Christy Wagner, MD and family medicine physician at Aspirus Health. She said they're having to screen for some diseases at younger ages.
Individuals have been getting colon cancer at younger and younger ages.
Dr. Wagner said understanding the risks and benefits of screenings can put patients at ease.
Thank you, Melissa. Governor Tony Evers, together with the Wisconsin Department of Administration, have announced over $115 million in grants to local and tribal communities through DOA's Flexible Facilities Program. Funded through the U.S. Department of Treasury Capital Projects Fund as part of the Biden-Harris administration's American Rescue Plan Act. These grants will go toward funding public facility expansion or improvement projects designed to provide reliable broadband access to local communities, including libraries, community centers, and multipurpose community facilities. Grants awarded include $4.25 million to Dodgeville. Funding will assist with public library renovations, which will benefit over 12,100 individuals, including those who face above-average poverty rates as well as significant hardships regarding internet reliability and affordability. Funding will expand the existing library space, including the construction of a children's programming room, a business center, and 4 classrooms with 11 laptop computers. Additionally, the project will offer remote learning support, telemedicine access, and workforce development resources. $4.25 million to Fenimore. Funding will assist with public library renovations, which will benefit over 4,500 individuals, including those experiencing lower than average income, education, and access to technology. Funding will go towards expanding an existing library space with the construction of 3 telemedicine rooms, a conference room, and a multipurpose space with kitchenette. This project will offer all community members ADA-compliant barrier-free access to improve broadband and Wi-Fi access, multi-purpose meeting rooms, more desktop and laptop computers, and private rooms for work, education, and healthcare monitoring. $3 million to La Crosse to assist with public library renovations and technological connectivity improvements, which will meet over 30,800. Funding will go toward expanding the existing library space with 3 classrooms, 5 meeting rooms, and 2 computer labs. And $4.25 million to Madison to fund and assist the construction of a new public library and imagination center at Rindall Park. The project will benefit over 19,300 individuals, including those who experience a higher rate of poverty and lowered access to internet and transportation. Emergencies can happen at any time, and emergency departments nationwide need to be prepared to treat patients of all ages. Gunderson Boscobel Area Hospital is committed to providing the best care to pediatric patients and has been officially recognized as a pediatric-ready facility by Wisconsin Emergency Medical Services for Children. Wisconsin Emergency Medical Services for Children has designed the Emergency Department Pediatric Recognition Program to identify Wisconsin emergency departments that meet the guidelines in the American Academy of Pediatrics Policy Statement, Pediatric Readiness in the Emergency Department. In order to receive Emergency Department Pediatric Recognition, a department needs to meet the following requirements: an administrator support letter, a disaster plan that addresses pediatric patients and includes the 7 components identified in the Pediatric Readiness Assessment, a minimum score of 80 out of 100 on the Pediatric Readiness Assessment, have a nurse pediatric emergency care coordinator and a physician pediatric emergency care coordinator, record pediatric patients' weights in kilograms only and weigh pediatric patients in kilograms only, have written pediatric interfacility transfer guidelines, which include the 8 components identified in the Pediatric Readiness Assessment, and written pediatric interfacility transfer agreements. The American Red Cross continues to work to restock critically needed blood products uncollected due to the ongoing impact of Hurricane Helene's devastation in the southeast. Since making landfall, the storm and its aftermath have led to the cancellation of more than 100 blood drives, causing thousands of blood and platelet donations to go uncollected. For so many people living with urgent medical care needs, blood transfusions are essential, and donations in the southeast are key to keeping the Red Cross's nationwide network stocked. The Red Cross operates through a national inventory with the ability to move blood wherever and whenever it's needed. Donors outside of affected areas are encouraged to make an appointment to give now and help keep the blood supply stable in the weeks to come. A blood drive will be held in Mazomanie tomorrow from 9 to 2 at Wisconsin Heights High School. Bring hope to those in need by visiting redcrossblood.org, by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS, or by using the Red Cross Blood Donor app. As the Red Cross continues to urge people to give blood or platelets now, Red Cross teams are also on the ground providing vital relief like food, water, shelter, and support in communities devastated by Hurricane Helene. If you're able to help those impacted by disasters big and small across the country like Helene, consider making a gift of any amount. A link can be found at civicmedia.us. The Richland Hospital and Clinics will host a free movie night at Starlight 14 in celebration of its recent 5-star patient satisfaction rating. The 5-star rating was awarded by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The score is based on hospital consumer assessment of healthcare providers and system surveys, which ask hospital patients to rate their care across several categories. These scores were then summarized into a single rating to help consumers find quality care. The Richland Hospital and Clinic's 5-star mark is the highest score possible. The free movie will be shown at the Starlight 14 Saturday and will feature the movie Inside Out 2. All are welcome to attend. Gates will open at 5:30 and the show will begin at dusk. Today is the deadline if you plan to exhibit at the Ithaca School Fair Saturday. Enter your exhibits online at fairentry.com/fair/sign-in/20 20951. The Village of Muscadet will host a free e-cycling collection event this Saturday from 8 to 11 on Morrell Lane. The electronic recycling event allows you to dispose of your electronics safely and responsibly. Carla Dowdna, utility clerk for the Village of Muscadet, invites everyone to participate.
When I say anybody, it doesn't matter if you're in Wazeeka or if you're in Platteville, Prairie du Chien, you're in Sauk County, Vernon County, Dane County, Iowa County. We really want to promote it to let people know that if you have something that you need to get rid of for free, everything that you bring is free of charge, that we want you to bring it.
Dynamic Life Cycle Innovations is dedicated to helping its customers' businesses thrive with security-driven electronics and materials life cycle programs and protecting the environment by keeping reusable materials out of the world's waste streams.
We are lucky enough to be able to work with Dynamic Recycling out of Onalaska, Wisconsin. They also have a location in Nashville, Tennessee. They've been in business since 2007. And they're really proactive with working with communities when it comes to recycling. You know, the 3 R's, you know, you have the reduce, reuse, and recycle. So that's really important to them. And it's really important to us as a Village of Muscadet to be able to bring that to our community and our surrounding areas.
Dowdna urges you to bring in anything electronic you no longer use.
Whether it's your computers, anything that has to do with your computer, your printers, your monitors, your copiers, your routers, your cell phones, laptops, speakers, webcams, gaming systems, VHSs, VCRs, coffee pots. So, you know, you have those Keurig coffee pots or even a regular coffee pot. We don't want the glass portion of it. We just want the unit itself. You know, your toasters, your holiday lights, you know, Christmas is coming up. Do you have a bunch of items from last year that didn't work and you're going to throw them away? Don't put them in your trash. Put them in your truck or trailer or car and bring it to us and recycle them. Microwaves. We're going to be taking microwaves, TVs. So everything is free. So if you've been storing all of this stuff in your garage, you know, power tools, you know, scales, anything that you can think of that you plug in or you have a battery in, or even those little solar powered calculators and things, just bring it to us. We're not going to turn you away if you're not, you know, within a 50-mile radius, but we're going to help you get rid of that. And Dynamic is going to then reduce, reuse, and recycle.
If you plan to bring a battery-operated item, you are asked to remove the batteries. The free e-recycling collection event will be held Saturday from 8 to 11 on Morrell Lane in Muscadet. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is now accepting applications for this year's round of funding for the Hunter Recruitment, Retention, and Reactivation Grant Program. Funding from the grant program is used to help grow the number of hunters in Wisconsin and support novices who want to learn to hunt. The Hunter R3 grant funds projects that teach people the skills, knowledge, and attitudes to be responsible and safe hunters, provide instruction in safe firearm operations, ethics, game laws, outdoor survival, and first aid, and focus on hunter and recreational shooter recruitment and retention. A total grant pool of $125,000 is available. Individual grant awards are normally limited to $25,000. Cost-sharing funds can be awarded to individuals or community-based organizations, Wisconsin tribes, universities, and schools. You can find more information about applying, eligible items, and resources on the DNR's Hunter R3 Grant Program webpage. The deadline to submit grant applications is October 15th. Coldplay is set to perform the first concert at Camp Randall in nearly 3 decades. The Grammy Award-winning band is bringing its Music of the Spheres World Tour to Madison sometime in 2025. The concert will be the first at Camp Randall since the Rolling Stones played the stadium on the UW-Madison campus in 1997. Pink Floyd played the first concert at Camp Randall in 1988, and Genesis and U2 have also performed there. Last week, Coldplay announced the band's new album titled Moon Music at the Moon Saloon in rural Marathon County.